Your time is running out. Whether you like it or not, our lives are full of final moments. There was a final time I talked to my second grade teacher. There was a final time I put on my favorite childhood sneakers. There was a final time I spoke to a friend before we outgrew each other. We lose track of all these moments in the fast-paced world we live in today. At the end of the day, one of the most constant things in life remains you. It doesn't matter how much you change. You will always be you. So that's why self-reflection is incredibly important. If you want to bring change into your life, you have to start from yourself. Self-evolution is inevitable with time. However, you're in control of your final moments. You get to decide whether or not you see a person again. The only thing stopping you is time and mortality. But what if I told you that the you who died a year ago has left you something special and has left a plethora of words of encouragement for you? They have a couple of memories they'd love for you to remember. However, there's a couple of steps you need to take in order to get there.
Hello, Internet! This is the first time that I am doing something like this and actually posting it. I'm here to tell you that you have to write a letter to your future self. Now, that might sound cheesy, and I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, time capsules? Like, I don't know about that. But here's my experience with them. So, in my senior year of high school, I was feeling very, very depressed. I think a lot of it stemmed from not really knowing where I was gonna go, and then I also graduated in 2021. But I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I was kind of going through a back and forth with my parents. Like, they would be like, you have to go to college, and then they would be like, actually, why are you even dreaming about going to college? That plus the fact that, we were all living in isolation. I had increasing pressure from my parents, and I had my job. Like, my boss was like, you can't keep pushing off whether or not you're gonna go to college because I need to know if I have to hire someone to replace you. And then there's also like the school, because you get accepted to all these different universities and then they have the deadline, And my friends as well. Like, one of my friends wanted to room with me, but I didn't know that I could go to college until like the very last minute. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to afford college because I'm the one who's paying for my own college. This is all on me and the government. And I tell you all of that to say I wrote a letter to myself. I think had I not had this letter, I wouldn't have had the trigger to even want to go to college. But when I finally got to open my letter, what it said was,
I'm close to graduating middle school and it's scary. I'm afraid because I don't want to go, but I do. I hate how I'm trying hard to live my childhood, yet because of me graduating, I'm expected to act mature.
The reason why I think it changed my outlook on the moment that I was experiencing is because back then I was going through what I thought was such a monumental change in my life. I was going from middle school and then I was applying to boarding school, and high school was crazy. The comfort that I got from my letter is just the fact that I had gone through that struggle beforehand, and therefore I could do it again. So that's why I think that this letter is kind of the final push that got me to say, yes, I am going to college. Like, I'm gonna do everything I can to be able to attend, because the younger me, she's watching. So I'm here to tell you that you need to write yourself something, because in the future, you're going to be wanting to go back to see like the mundane everyday things that you missed. And having a little reminder of how you used to think and how you used to write as well just kind of gives you a little bit more hope. There's gonna come a day where you're going to wish that you could go back and hug yourself or comfort yourself, you know, after you've made it past everything. And sadly, you can't really time travel and go back to talk. But what you can do is write a letter to yourself in the future so that in the future you can reflect on all of the past obstacles that you've faced. Because at the end of the day, you did it. So if you're having trouble on how to start it, here's a little mini guide on how you can write a letter to your future self. So you could choose whether or not you want to write it in text or if you want to write it handwritten. If you write it in text, I think that option is really cool if you want to schedule an email to yourself. However, I also think that having a handwritten letter is a lot better, at least in my opinion. There's something so wonderful about being able to touch like paper that the past you has written in, and then also you could just see like your old handwriting. I used to write my F's like a cursive F, and I think that's pretty funny because I remember making that conscious decision when I was 14 just because I wanted to have a fancy F. I just wanted to have fancy handwriting. Who didn't want to have fancy handwriting at 14? You want to be able to write something that when you look in the future, you'll be like, oh my god, like, I feel so comforted right now. I think I'm not really able to get into that mood unless I'm listening to the right kind of music. So I kind of suggest classical music, but if something else strikes your fancy, go ahead. You could also try to like, you know, take a bath beforehand and think those shower thoughts on like what you want to say to your future self. And also maybe like light some candles. I don't know, like it's just do something that makes you feel like in the zone and vibing, because remember, this is you connecting to yourself in the future. And I think quite possibly the most difficult thing of all is trying to figure out what you want to write. You can approach this letter by having it be a total mind dump, and that's completely fine. You don't have to have like a certain structure to your letter. It's like you're having like a mini phone call. For my letter, the one that I wrote to myself when I was 14, a lot of it is questions. Like,
did you go to boarding school? Did you stay at your hometown high school? Did you move? Did your dreams change? Did you get a job? Did you become famous? Did you achieve your dream? Do you love yourself?
it's a lot of different questions, and it's just like one whole brain dump. Back then, I just kind of had a lot of questions for myself when I was growing up because I felt aimless as I do now. But seeing her kind of struggle through that aimlessness is comforting in a way. So I feel like a brain dump, if you don't want to structure out your letter or anything, that's completely fine. It's something completely casual. However, if you want this to be like a kind of like a magnum opus letter that you open up and you're like, oh my god, like I don't know. But if you want to have structure in your future letter, you can start off with an introduction, talk about like a memory that you just had today, or like, oh, today I'm eating soup. And then you can do some catch up. You can talk about family, favorite memories with your family, ask your future self how your family's doing. Your friends. I think one thing that I found interesting is that one of the friends that I mentioned in my letter, I've been friends with her for almost 10 years now. And then a lot of the friends that I mentioned in my letter, I don't even talk to anymore. You could talk about partners. I did not have a partner at the time when I wrote this. But I did do a lot of asking. I was like,
Does you find your soulmate? Does he laugh at fart jokes too?
I can't believe I wrote that. Maybe you could also talk about a memory that you love. Maybe 10 years in the future, whenever you choose to open up your writing, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I still love that memory to this day. Or maybe you're gonna be like, that memory was freaking atrocious. I don't know why I would ever write that. Ew. Who knows? That's the beauty of it. You just get to yap to your future self. You could also go with the questions route, or you can have sort of like an ending with the questions. But I highly recommend that in the conclusion of your letter, you write some sort of affirmation or some sort of motivation for yourself. And if you're in the camp, I don't like myself club, I need to speak to your manager, because no, we don't do that here. T-Nation does not allow it. I think it's really important to just end up on a positive note, because even if you're camp boo-hoo I don't like myself club, which you shouldn't be in, it's a lame camp. You should be in teehee I love myself club, because you don't want to hate on yourself in the future. They did their best with what they had. The least thing that they want to hear is like their younger selves being disappointed. So for me, I drew a picture. But for me, hold on. Cue the little baby voice.
You know, I hope whatever comes your way you can handle. We're small with big dreams. I know there'll be a lot. Life has its ups and downs, but I know you can push through. I love you a ton, though I'm still learning to. Let's find ourselves and learn to love everything. I have high hopes for us, and I know we can do anything as long as we set our minds to it. I know people say to not trust, but trust is a roller coaster, which every human must ride.
Look at that poet era.
So what are we doing? We're doing our best. So hold that smile up high and proud. You'll do good out in the world. And hey, graduation will be fun. Hold on to what you believe in and never stop moving forward. Fear is the only thing that can stop us if we let it. I love you. Good luck.
And then I signed off. And truly, don't look at me. I'm teared up right now. But I think that just having that sort of affirmation at the end of the letter just kind of brings it all together, because at the end of the day, you should be your biggest cheerleader. All that being said, I think the most important part also of just writing this letter in general is to be true to yourself. This letter is for your eyes only. So it's okay if you want to be embarrassing. If you want to be cringe, that's another story. I'm kidding. But it's okay if you feel like whatever you're saying is embarrassing or sappy. You're the only one who's going to be saying this. You deserve to have a nice letter written to yourself from you from the past, because younger you would love you in the future. And you will know if you were lying. And at the end of all of that, after you have your letter written, you could also try to put goodies in there. Have the letter in an envelope and put it in a box full of like sentimental toys or something with sentimental value to you. And if you have a printer, or if you're doing this digitally, you could attach videos and images for yourself in the future to look back on and be like, oh my god, I remember when that happened. Seal it up, keep it safe, or send it off. You can choose to hide it somewhere. For me, I kept it at my desk. And I went to boarding school. I took it to boarding school and I kept it at my desk. And then I moved back home for COVID and I kept it at my desk. And now I'm here and I keep it at my desk. It travels with me. Hiding it would be cool if you're planning on not having like a set date as to when you open it, but I would only recommend it there only because me and my little memory, my little twisted memory, like she doesn't remember a thing. So it's better for me if I have it somewhere where I can see it. So if you're like me and you're probably gonna lose it, keep it somewhere safe where you know where it is. But don't be tempted to open it up. And if you're wondering how long you should wait, for me, I kind of relied on a chapter of my life or a season of my life or an arc. I knew that when I was graduating high school, I'd have gone through high school. And so being an 8th grader, I thought, yeah, like I want to talk to myself after I've finished this endeavor, especially being 14 and being scared for high school to start. I was like, I want to make sure that I made it through okay. If you're not in school anymore, you could do something like in 5 years, because a lot can change in 5 years. I just wrote myself a new letter. I kind of wish that I had written myself a letter when I started college. I wrote myself a letter at the beginning of the school year for my senior year, and already I don't remember what I wrote. I'm excited to open up my letter again, and I'm keeping it in the same envelope. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys, but also hopefully you take this like not seriously. I don't want to scare you guys, but I hope that you actually do think to yourself like, okay, maybe I will write a letter. And if you do and you come back to it in 4 years, come back to this video maybe and write a comment and be like, yeah, I opened up my letter. Or tell me if you wrote a letter to yourself after watching this. I don't know. That's enough for me. I've been talking for way too long and I want to go to sleep. So I hope you guys like this video and comment down below if you're gonna write a letter. I'm not gonna ask you guys to subscribe or hit the bell button because it's like, y'all, if you want to see me again, like, please come back. But I'm not gonna ask that of you. Like, you can do that if you want to, but I'm just glad that you guys watched this and I hope that you guys got something out of it. Have a great day. Take a nap maybe. Bye.